Welcome to Betrayal Stories. In today's video, we bring you an unforgettable journey of love, loss, and the courage to begin again. The story of a woman whose heart was shattered, yet somehow found the strength to heal in the most unexpected way. The day Mark died, Emily felt the entire world slow to a crawl. It didn't shatter with noise or drama. It simply stopped. Like someone had pressed pause on everything that once made sense. The birds outside still sang. Cars still passed on the road, but inside her chest, there was only silence. Their Vermont home had always been full of warmth, laughter echoing from room to room, the smell of coffee every morning, soft music humming from the kitchen. But after that day, every sound seemed hollow. The walls, once so alive with shared memories, now echoed with an ache she couldn't escape. Mark had been her partner since high school, the kind of man whose steady presence made the world feel safe. When he smiled, it reached his eyes. When he spoke, it carried kindness. And when he held her hand, she felt grounded, as if nothing in the world could fall apart. But now, everything had. In the first few weeks, people came by constantly. Friends, neighbors, folks from church. They brought casseroles, flowers, cards covered in careful handwriting. Each one carried love, but none filled the void Mark had left behind. Emily moved through those days like a ghost inside her own home. She brewed 1 cup of coffee instead of 2, folded laundry for 1, sat at church in their usual pew, the same one she'd shared with Mark for years, now with an empty space beside her. At 38, she was too young to wear the title of widow. Too tired to start over, and far too broken to imagine a world without him. Her children, both in college, called every few days. They asked if she was eating, if she was sleeping, if she needed anything. She always said the same thing, "I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm managing." But she wasn't. Most days she'd walk along the lake near their home. The water reflected the orange Vermont leaves drifting across its surface. Autumn came with its usual beauty, but she barely noticed. The world moved forward, indifferent to her grief. Time heals all wounds. People said that a lot. But Emily was beginning to believe time just made you forget what normal felt like. One Sunday afternoon, just as she was folding laundry she didn't need to fold, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to see her older brother, James, standing there. His hair was grayer than she remembered, his eyes softer, holding something heavy behind them. Guilt, worry, maybe both. "Hey, Em," he said, voice gentle. "Can I come in?" She nodded, stepping aside. She didn't bother pretending she'd been busy. They sat in the kitchen, the one Mark had built with his own hands the year after they were married. James looked around, as if the house itself carried the years of laughter and love that had faded. "I've been thinking," he began, clearing his throat. "About you, about this house, about everything." Emily's brows furrowed. "Okay?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "I know you're trying to hold it together. I know you think you're fine on your own, but this place is too quiet, Em. You shouldn't be here alone." She frowned. "James, I'm okay, really. I've got friends, the kids." He cut her off gently. "That's not the same." "What are you trying to say?" James hesitated before meeting her eyes. "I want to move in." "Just for a while," Emily blinked. "You? Move in here?" He gave a half smile, embarrassed. "Yeah, I could help out. Fix the roof before winter, keep you company. Make sure you're not spending every evening talking to the coffee pot." She almost laughed, but the sound caught in her throat. The idea was kind, unexpected, strange. James had never been the settling type. "James," she said softly, "I appreciate it, really. But I don't want to be anyone's responsibility." "You're not," he said quickly. "Em, you've always taken care of everyone else. Maybe it's time someone took care of you, just for a while." His words landed deeper than she expected. For months, no one had offered her that. Not help, not real company, just quiet presence. She looked out the window toward the backyard, where the maple tree Mark planted years ago was shedding its last leaves. The wind carried them across the yard like small whispers of the past. The idea of another winter alone made her chest tighten. Maybe she didn't have to face it by herself. She turned back to James, who was waiting, not pushing, just waiting. "Okay," she said finally. "Just for a while," James smiled, relief softening his features. Just for a while? Emily wasn't sure if it was the right decision. But maybe, for the first time since Mark's death, it felt like a step forward, however small. James moved in a few days later. He brought only a few bags and his old toolbox. Emily cleared the guest room, and before long, his quiet footsteps began filling the empty spaces of the house. It was strange, but comforting. He fixed things she hadn't touched since Mark passed. The loose porch board, the crooked screen door, the back fence that always leaned to the right. Each small repair seemed to restore not just the house, but something inside her. The house, once silent, began to breathe again. At first, Emily and James gave each other space. She still took her long morning walks, cooked simple dinners, and read by the fire at night. But now she cooked for 1.5 instead of 1. Slowly, the air began to change, less heavy, less hollow. One morning, she came into the kitchen to find James already there, hair messy, sipping coffee. "You slept in," she said, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "I didn't know I was allowed to," he teased. "You've always been the early riser," she laughed softly. It had been a long time since laughter came easily. As days turned to weeks, they settled into a rhythm, quiet, steady, familiar. James worked around the house while Emily rediscovered small joys she thought she'd lost: baking, painting, writing in her old journal. The loneliness that once consumed her began to ease. Then one evening, as snow drifted past the kitchen window, James spoke up while they ate dinner. "I've been thinking," he began again. The same words that had started everything before. Emily looked at him curiously. "About what?" "About staying longer." She paused, fork halfway to her mouth. "Longer?" He nodded. "Yeah, maybe for good. I can work from here now. And honestly, I like being here. With you." Emily's breath caught. It wasn't romantic. It was something deeper. A brother trying to anchor his sister back to life. "I don't want you staying because you feel sorry for me," she said softly. "I'm not," he replied. "I'm here because I want to be. Because this house feels alive again. Because you deserve not to carry everything alone." Her throat tightened, and for a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, snow blanketed the yard in silence. Inside, something gentle was growing, a fragile kind of peace. That night, they sat on the porch under thick blankets, steaming mugs of tea in their hands. The sky stretched above them, full of stars. James said quietly, "You know, I used to think slowing down was failure. I thought if I stayed in one place too long, I'd start to feel everything I was running from." Emily looked over, the glow of the porch light catching in her eyes. "And now?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Now I think I'm tired of running." They sat there in silence, two people learning how to exist in the quiet again, not as a void, but as something healing. The weeks turned into months. With James there, the house felt lighter, fuller. He planted flowers near the porch, the same bright mums Mark used to buy every fall. Emily watched him work, her heart softening at the sight. She found herself smiling more often now. She caught herself humming while cleaning. The grief was still there. It always would be, but it no longer swallowed every moment. Sometimes they'd sit together after dinner, looking through old photo albums. Pictures of family trips, Christmas mornings, birthdays long past. Emily would trace Mark's face in one of the photos and whisper, "He loved this house." James would nod. "He did, and he'd want you to keep living in it, really living." For the first time, Emily believed that might be possible. One stormy night, the power went out. The wind howled through the trees, lightning flashing beyond the windows. They lit candles and played cards at the kitchen table. Between rounds, James said quietly, "You know, I miss him too." Emily looked up, surprised. "You do?" "Yeah," he said, eyes distant. Mark was a good man. The kind of man who made everyone around him better. You two had something special. Emily smiled sadly. We did. He made things simple, James added. You made things home. Her throat tightened, tears welling. But this time, they didn't sting the same way. They sat there, candlelight flickering between them. And Emily realized, grief didn't always have to be sharp. Sometimes it could be gentle, a reminder of what had been beautiful. Winter passed. Spring arrived quietly, bringing color back to the world. Emily and James began planting a garden together. Something to nurture, something to grow. The soil under her hands felt grounding. The scent of earth and lilacs mixed with sunlight made her remember that life didn't end with loss. Sometimes, she'd stand in the garden and close her eyes, feeling the breeze, hearing the laughter of her children when they visited, smelling coffee from the kitchen. She realized she wasn't rebuilding Mark's life. She was rebuilding hers, and she wasn't alone anymore. Months later, on a warm morning, Emily walked to the lake again. The same path she had walked countless times in grief now looked different, alive, awake, new. She thought of Mark, of the years they shared, of how love doesn't disappear when someone is gone. It transforms,